Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Punchboard Report. My name is Blake Ryder. Today, we're looking at Imhotep. Imhotep was designed by Mr. Phi Walker-Harding in 2016, published by Kosmos. Now, as the tagline reads, Builder of Egypt. In this game, you are a builder in Egypt running a rock quarry, and you are going to be building Egyptian monuments on various sites. Now, each of these sites kind of represents a different mini-game, and you're going to be scoring points in various ways by building these monuments. Now, this game was nominated in 2016 for the Spiel des Jahres, which is the Game of the Year, the most prestigious award in gaming. So, let's get it set up on the table, and we'll be back after that for some thoughts. Okay, so this is Imhotep, and we're set up for 3 players. And players are going to start with a certain number of these stones on their supply sled token based on where they are on turn order. You have a quarry of more stones, you have some boats that are going to come into play every round, and you have a bunch of boards which are essentially little mini games that we're going to be scoring points on, and then you have a score tracker. At the beginning of every round, we're going to turn one of these cards over. And now there's a 6-round game. There are 6 of these cards, and at the beginning of each round, we're going to flip one of these cards over, and this is going to dictate what boats are in play for this round. So in this situation, we have 2 boats that are 4 capacity, 1 boat that is a 2 capacity, and 1 boat that is a 1 capacity. So we will take those boats from the supply and place them in play, and then the game will begin. So on your turn, you have 3 essentially main actions. Technically, there are 4 actions because if you have one of these blue cards, you can play it as your turn and take the action indicated on the blue card. However, other than that, there are 3 predominantly main actions. The first action you can do is take one of the stones from your supply sled and place it on any one of these boats in an empty spot. So, and I could place it in any one of the spots. It doesn't have to be front to back, back to front. So, for example, this one could hold 4 of the stones, whereas this one could hold 2 stones. You also notice that little stone over there. That is its minimum capacity. So this one's minimum capacity is 1. Same with this one, because this one can only hold 1. Whereas this one's minimum capacity is 3. So it can hold 4, but the minimum capacity is 3. Now, what do I say? What do I mean when I say minimum capacity? So, like I said, the first action is going to be to take one of your stones and place it on any one of these spots. The second action is take one of the boats, as long as it is at the minimum capacity, and move it to any one of these docks. So that's the second action you can do on your turn, is move a boat to a dock. And when you do that, you can move any boat. It doesn't have to have your stones on it. It could have your opponent's stones on it if you think doing so would be disadvantageous to your opponent, and then you might want to do that. However, again, it needs to be at its minimum capacity. So this one's minimum capacity is 1, so even though it could hold 2, the fact that this 1 stone is on there means any player can move that one to a dock. So, action 1, place a stone on any one of these boats. Action 2, move one of these boats to any one of these docks and unload the stones. That is the crux of the game. And the third action is to take stones from the quarry and add them to your supply sled token. Now you have a maximum number of stones on your supply sled of 5. So theoretically, the black player could take all 3 if they did that on their turn. However, the brown player, if they were to do that, they would only be able to take 2 because the maximum is 3. So let's go through how these boards work. This is the crux of the game. So let's hypothetically say there have been a bunch of rounds and a bunch of turns, and this is, let's say, this is how the boat was filled up. So let's say this boat of 4 was filled up to the top, and now let's zoom in on each one of these boards and show you how they all work. All right, so first and foremost, we have the burial chamber. So let's say someone, as their turn, moved this boat right in there and docked it. So the way this works, whoever docked the boat will unload them. And the way this works is you do in columns from front to back, always from front to back from the boat. So you can go 1, then you go brown, and you go 2, and you just do it in columns, 3 and 4. And what we're trying to do here is create groupings of your colored stones. So an individual stone is only worth 1 point at the end of the game. However, if you get 5 connected stones, that's worth 15 points, and it's a sliding scale. You can see 4 stones will be worth 10 points. So right now, white would be worth 3, black and brown would each be worth 1. However, over the course of the game, you're going to be trying to connect your stones here accordingly. And I should mention at this point that once a boat is docked, this boat stays there for the rest of the round, and the round will end once all 4 of the boats are docked at the various docks. So there are 5 different possible docks, so every single round, 1 of the docks will be empty. So for the rest of the round, no one else will be adding stuff to the burial chamber. Next, we have the Obelisk. The way this works, boat comes in, docks at the station, and then all you do is you unload the colored stones to their color. So you see brown is there, white is there, so I put the white one there, and I put the black one there. That's it. At the end of the game, whoever has the highest obelisk will get points accordingly. So if this is a 3-player game, whoever has the highest obelisk will get 12 points, second highest obelisk, 6 points, third highest obelisk, 1 point. So that is scored up at the end of the game, and you're just going to keep adding stones to the obelisks that way. Next, you have the temple. The way the temple works, boat comes in, and like I mentioned, minimum capacity on this is 3, so there can only be 3. 3 stones there is totally legit. The way this works is you unload stones from left to right in order, so front to back, and then you just go left to right, boom, boom, boom. And at the end of each round, you're going to look at this temple from top, right from above, and you're gonna get 1 point per color. Each color is going to get points based on the number of stones you see from looking from above. So right now, at the end of the round, black would get 2 points, brown would get 1 point. However, now let's say it's a new round. This is now the subsequent round, and now let's say boat comes in, and it does the exact same thing. So we unload from front to back, left to right. So white would go there, brown would go here, and then it would recycle. So white would then go there, and black would then go there. So now at the end of the round, white's getting 2 points, brown's getting 2 points, and black is getting 1 point. So this is scored at the end of every single round, and you're going to keep adding layer and layer, and whatever colors you see on the top, that is who's going to get points. Okay, now you have the pyramids. Pyramids, boat comes in, and same deal, front to back, as always. These are going to just be laid out in columns, much like the burial chamber. However, you're going to get points immediately based on whatever the number is on the spot. So black would get 2, black would get 1, brown would get 3, and black would get 2. So placement on the boats is very, very important, as you're seeing through all these little demos, because wherever you are, that's going to dictate how many points you get and how you're going to connect things, and so on and so forth. This will continue to build each round. So hypothetically, if a subsequent round, white would get 4 and yada, yada, yada. But this will build ultimately like a pyramid. So at a certain point, once this is completely filled, then it would go and build another layer. So second level would be 2, 3, 1, 3. So if black was there, black would get 2. And then if white was there, white would get 3, and so on and so forth. And again, every single time the boat is docked, that boat will stay there for the rest of the round. So this would all be on subsequent rounds. And last but not least, we have the market. So boat comes in. As always, the boat will unload from front to back. And this is simply, you get cards in the order in which your stones appear. So brown will get the first 2 selections of card, then white, then brown. So if brown's first choice, they may take this one. Now, these are special action cards. There's a whole bunch of different types of ones in the game, and as your action, you can play one of these cards. So as your action, place 1 stone on a ship and sail the ship. So there's essentially a double action card. You can play the card, and then you can place a stone and sail it in the same time. Very, very useful. And there's a whole bunch of different types of blue cards. Here's another example. Here you can take 3 stones from the quarry and place a stone on one ship. So this one, you don't have to only dedicate a turn to taking stones. You can take and place. Here's another example that allows you to place 2 stones on one ship or 1 stone on 2 ships. So there's a bunch of different types of blue actions. Next, you have these green cards. These green cards are going to give you endgame points. So at the end of the game, earn 1 point per 3 stones in the pyramid space being this one that we saw momentarily ago. So for every 1 stone for every 3 stones in the pyramid, yours and other stones, you'll get 1 point. Next, you have the red cards. Red are immediate actions. If you take this one, you immediately place 1 stone from the quarry in the burial chamber being this one. So that can be very useful if you're trying to connect one of your groupings of colors, and you're afraid that you're going to get blocked. So the red ones are immediate actions, and they have immediate actions for all different sites. And then lastly, you have these statues. This is kind of a set collection element. And if you have 5 of these at the end of the game, it's 15 points. If you only have 1, it's worth 1 point. 3 is worth 6 points. So this is simply called, these are statues. You're simply collecting these purple cards. And that's the game. Every round, you turn over a new card. You take the boats you need for that round. When all 4 of these boats are docked and unloaded, then the round would end. Again, burial chamber and obelisk are scored at the end of the game. Temple is scored at the end of every round. This is scored as the points are scored. At the end of the round, any cards that are still on the market, you'll sweep, put new cards out, you play 6 rounds, and then you add up any statues or any endgame points, and whoever has the most points wins. This game is tasty, okay? This game is tasty. It is delicious. This is one of my earliest obsessions in gaming. When I was falling into the hobby and getting engrossed in it, this is one of the earliest games that I fell for really, really hard. I fell really hard for this game. And because, honestly, it's so engrossing and captivating, and it has such a low rules overhead. It's really not that hard. You place a stone, you move a boat, and that's really it. Or you take more stones. That's largely the whole game. But the game is it's a mental game. It's a game of chicken with your opponents as you're all trying to figure out, if I place this here, is she going to move my boat to a place that's disadvantageous for me? Or if I overload this boat with my stones trying to get them all in one place and it hits that minimum, is someone just going to move my boat somewhere and just park my stones somewhere I don't want them? This game is all about chicken. Who's going to break first? And the obelisk, I'll tell you, the obelisk is just such a brilliant little mechanism, because if you get too far ahead in the obelisk and it becomes almost out of reach for your opponents, anytime you have too many stones on a boat, your opponents are just going to move that boat to the obelisk and unload your stones on the obelisk, because you're not going to get any more points because you already theoretically have it locked in, and you're essentially being prevented from getting points on other monument sites. Absolutely fantastic. It's also worth noting that these boards are all double-sided, so they all have different mini games on the other side. For example, the burial chamber. We did this side. The other side, you essentially will be filling in different rows. You're going to be filling them in the same way, but trying to get majorities of your color in each of the rows. Pyramids. The normal side has the big pyramid. This has a lot of smaller different pyramids, and you also have opportunities to get other benefits. Instead of just points, you can get stones, or you can put stones on boats, things of that nature. This game scales very well at all player counts. That deck of cards that has the boats that will dictate how many boats and what boats are in each round, that is going to scale to player count. So 2 players, you're just going to have smaller boats more frequently in that boat pool. Otherwise, it plays fantastically well at 2, 3, and 4. I played it many times at every single player count. The components, I love those chunky blocks. They're not standard small little Euro game, tiny little blocks. These are big, nice, chunky blocks, nice to touch. And, honestly, they just create that big pile of interconnected and different color mixed blocks. Looks really great on the table. It's the art and the components are otherwise just fairly general cardboard. However, the aesthetic and the color palette, it sucks you in, has that really Egyptian feel. Very, very cool. So, tell you what. Overall, I really like this game. I love teaching it to people because people get really sucked into it very, very easily, and I love games like that. So overall, if this sounded interesting to you, check it out, and thank you again for watching. My name is Blake Ryder.